Happy to have you. I first heard of you when someone showed me the work that you're doing with the homeless in San
Mm,
Francisco. You're very well known as a community builder in San Francisco. You have so many programs that uplift people through community action and also violence prevention. I know you are a award-winning mentor and speaker under Uncle Damien Speaks, and your
I am.
non-for-profit Us for Us Bay Area is something that is pretty amazing. I lived in San
Thank you.
Francisco in 1999 to 2010 when there was still a lot of community involvement, a lot of action.
Yeah.
And I think you're one of the legacy folks that still, walk the talk because there's
Yeah.
not very much of that happening in the Bay Area. So I'm super, super stoked to feature you tonight.
You didn't want
And
to run. You didn't want to run across me in '99 though. I was a different person back then.
But before we talk about how you're helping to end gang violence, how you're helping troubled youth, how you're helping the homeless, and how you're helping folks coming out of prison re-enter successfully into society, let's talk about what you were doing in the cannabis game. How did it all start for you?
Well, as far as the cannabis game, like you said, I was part of what some call the legacy market or the traditional market or the black market or whatever you want to call it. Um, my mother had me when she was 16 years old. I never knew my father, kind of, typical story growing up, so it was rough. It was a struggle, man. Definitely stood in welfare lines for a long time to get the free government cheese and whatnot. So when I was around 11 or 12, I felt like, hey, man, I need to try to make my own money, man, try to do something. And, when you're that age, when you're that young, um, cannabis is one of the things, that you can kind of get some access to. Couldn't get access to maybe some of the harder drugs or at the time, that's what it was called. So I started selling weed at a young age, man, to try to support myself, support my family, um, and do a few other things. So, I'm 42 and I don't look it, you know what I'm saying? But it's been some time since I was 11 years old. Um, and throughout that process, I caught several cannabis cases, throughout my younger years as a young man and a young adult. Which ultimately led to me being sentenced to 120 months in federal prison, which is 10 years. I did that, and on that journey, I was blessed to have some enlightenment, completely change my life, and be out now back in the community, giving back, like you said. I'm honored and humbled to be able to do all of those things, to be an award-winning mentor, mediator, and executive director of Us for Us, which is a phenomenal organization, not because of me, but because of the people that volunteer and come out, and the youth that wear their heart on their sleeves for the people. I'm just, a loud dude running around connecting the dots, man. But it's the young people and it's the volunteers and the individuals, who are really, really pushing it forward. And in that vein, we all know, how things progressed in the legalization of cannabis. And, me being a community leader, the social equity program was brought to me. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think, we candid, we on Zoom, I didn't think that people of color were going to be able to have these opportunities, even though it was becoming legal. Just because things are illegal, the barriers be so high to, BIPOC people, what I mean, back indigenous people of color, for certain things, or anyone who has a certain lower tax bracket, because if you're poor white, you might as well be black in rich people's eyes, in my opinion. But um, they really put it out there to kind of level the playing field, and I took advantage of it at the advice of some very amazing individuals, who I trusted, and signed up for the social equity program. And I'm a verified social equity applicant. I was honored to attend Uncle Damien University. You know, I didn't go to college. I went to penitentiary, but I went to Uncle Damien University. So I rep it like it's a real college, you know. You know, everybody else be repping their school with their color. That's my school colors, Amsterdam, baby. You know, we need to get a basketball team or something. But you know, so that opportunity presented itself, and me have had the privilege to work at several different nonprofits throughout my time being home. I see how hard it is struggling raising funds for certain things. So you know, I changed my life, but that hustle mentality is still in me. You know, I'm still dude from the streets, putting on for the people, for the real community, for the legacy market. So, you know, I put two and two together and, you know, made it happen, man, created high purpose, man, a brand for the people. You know what I mean? The give back buds, getting high with a purpose. I
Yo,
hope that explained it.
I gotta say, I'm an Amsterdam alum too. Shout out Amsterdam.
Hey, gang, you know what I'm talking about? That's
You
what I'm
know,
talking about.
I did their
Me too.
first
Amsterdam in
one
the
in New
house.
York.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Me
about.
too.
I mean, okay,
I
we
did
linked
mine.
up.
Yep, me too. 10 years ago in San Francisco, or in San Francisco
In
and Oakland.
Oakland, yeah.
So we're all
And
Amsterdam alumni.
we need to get us like some type of fraternity or something going on here. I think they got something like that. They got the alum. I got to get more active, you know. Yeah, but that's how it started. In the you know the legal market and the traditional market per se. You know, I started selling cannabis when I was like 11, 12 years old, and then now here I am with one of the best brands, if you're asking me. You know what I mean? In the industry, man, really giving back to the people, really putting on, you know, for education. If you guys look at my page, High Purpose Lifestyle, you know, I'm pushing education heavy. It's not about just smoking weed, man. It's all inclusive, man. Educating yourself about it because I do mentor young people, you know, and I don't want to get it confused and everything. So it's like, you know, everything you know, I push and preach everything in moderation, everything education around everything. You know, who am I to knock anybody? You know, but whatever you do, regardless if it's, you know, if you're going to be lifting weights or you're going to be, you know, you're going to be a chef, man, educate yourself about it. You know what I mean? If you're going to take up a diet and start taking new vitamins, man, learn about those vitamins. Educate yourself about everything you're doing, even cannabis. You know what I mean? Got to know what's going in it. Different THC levels hit people differently. Different terp levels hit people differently. You know, we all alum. We know we went to school. We know they taught us. You know what I'm saying? So,
Joe.
and that was one of the things that was important for me because it couldn't be like, oh, I'm just saying this. I'm like, no, bro, I went to school to learn about it because that's how serious I am. Because, you know, we know it's becoming legal, but it's still risque. Certain places I had to explain to my mom, you know, because she came from that old addict. She was brainwashed like everyone else, you know. I encourage everyone to watch Grass is Greener, get you some education around the laws and the hypocrisy and the demonization of this beautiful plant, you know, to really get the facts and understand. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it could be for everybody, you know, but different things for different people, you know. But like
Yeah.
I said, everything in moderation, like Cat Williams said, you take too many aspirin, that'll be your last headache. But you know how many people have died from smoking cannabis or doing anything around cannabis? Do you know? Throw it up, baby. That Amsterdam, zero. And that's why I created violence prevention. That's my new strain dropping, but we'll talk about that later, man. You know
So
what I mean?
I want to talk about the company, the brand,
Let's talk
the
about it.
things you do in the community. But before we do,
Mm-hmm.
I want to just spend a little bit of time understanding who you are
Uh-oh.
and how
Right.
you actually change your mindset and change your ways.
Mm,
So like 10 years is no joke. I can't even begin to
not at
fathom
all.
what you went through. And it sounds like it was all for marijuana related stuff.
No, it wasn't all for cannabis, but they see the thing about it is you know, they use the cannabis to lock down the other things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I went for a 922G, ex-felon possession of a firearm. You know what I mean? A discharge of a firearm in a public place. But it was, you know, I had a couple bags a week, definitely for personal consumption. You could see it, but then they were like, "Oh, he's got guns and drugs for sale," and whoa, whoa, whoa. So they used the cannabis to really try to seal the deal on the case to try to give me more time and all that stuff. But now back in 2001, if cannabis would have been legalized like it is now, they wouldn't have been able to do that, but they did. And previous to that, I had several uh, several nonviolent marijuana cases that they tried to use to bolster my record and stuff of that nature, make it seem like I was a really bad guy, you know what I mean, for indulging in cannabis, which I definitely was not, obviously.
Right. So I imagine that a lot of people spend that time, and there's a lot of different ways you can come out. You can go many different paths. Can you talk to us a little bit about what changed in your mind in that 10 years, or when you came out, what was your perspective? Because you said you're a different person from 99, right? Like,
I am.
How did you become a different person? In what ways?
So a few different things happened with me in my enlightenment. One being my daughter, who I love very much. Um, you know, and when she was born in 99, 98 or 99, my bad, terrible dad. She's she'll be 22 this year. Um, you know, I was still, brainwashed by some of the things I learned in the community that were not helpful, but were harmful to my mental. That's one thing that I learned while I was in prison, that I had to unlearn a lot of the things that I learned. Just like with the cannabis industry, all of the lies that were told to our parents and grandparents, who may think what we're doing is crazy because they think this is devil's grass or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They learn those things. We learn those things. We have to unlearn those things and learn the truth. So same thing happened with me. So I wasn't the best father initially to my daughter, you know what I mean? But I learned how to be a better dad, So as I was making my transition, I saw a picture of her and she looked just like me. And it kind of hit me like, this is my responsibility. And I need to really you know what I mean? So that was one of the things. Another one of the things is me seeing the influence I had on my peers and the younger people that were around me. I don't claim to be all that. I wasn't a kingpin like Rick Ross and none of that stuff, but I was influential in my city, you know what I mean, in my neighborhood and around some certain things. So some of the things that I did, other people did from watching me, you know what I mean, or trying to be like me. I've even went as far as taught people how to do some bad things that I'm not proud of today. But understanding that, and I realized, and I started thinking about myself and my legacy and my true impact on this world, because we all have an impact on this world, whether you believe it or not. You guys chose to do this, and this will be part of your legacy, part of your impact on the world, trying to make it better. But at that time, I had done nothing to make the world better. You know what I mean? So unless you like a terrible, terrible person like Genghis Khan, nobody will remember you for being bad. You know what I'm saying? But they will remember you for being good, and you will help other people be good. So I started thinking about myself and my legacy and how I could positively affect and influence the people around me. I have such a deep love for people in general. And once I found the love for myself, which the Nation of Islam helped me find love for myself, being a Black man. And once you find that out, then you want to help other people. So I was a leader, and I was like, well, either I'm going to lead people to good or to bad. And so many of my friends kept coming into the prison and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if anybody's ever been to jail, but when you go to jail and you see your friends, you're like, hey, what's up, man? Whoa, man. I've seen a lot of that, but I used to be thinking like, man, why are we happy, man? We locked up. This shit is terrible. You know what I'm saying? We got to go to bed at 9:00. You know what I'm saying? We got to stand up and count every day at 4:00 and be counted like cattle. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is not cool. We should not be happy about this. Even though you happy to see your friend there alive, you haven't seen them whatever, but we still in jail. Like, this shit's not cool. You know what I mean? So I started, I was blessed to work with the city of Lompoc to create a program called Start Taking Alternative Routes Today, where we convinced the city of Lompoc to bring the kids from like the Boys and Girls Club, or more like the juvenile halls, the ranches, group homes and stuff, for me to talk to them. You know, kind of like scared straight, but not so scared. You know what I mean? But we were just giving them some real talk. Some of the stuff got scary. You know, we created a panel with some other individuals like myself on there, and we were blessed to have an impact on the city and on the youth. I'm still in contact with some of the young people, some of the parents, that I kept in correspondence with, help, guide, mentor the young people from prison, that were in that city, through high school and through some problems and stuff of that nature, to the point to where, they had gave me an award for working with the youth while I was in prison from the city of Lompoc and the prison in Lompoc USP. So those were some of the things, just realize my daughter, and then realizing what I was capable of doing on this earth, and how I wanted to leave it, so that kind of like, sparked the change in me, To answer your question, I could talk forever.
No, that totally does. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Us for Us Bay Area? Because when I'm coming to the Bay in about a month, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be volunteering for your
Yes, you are.
organization.
Yes, you are, and everyone else on here too as well. So, Us for Us is a brainchild of mine, of the people, the community, young people that I work with. Like I said, I've been blessed to work at several different nonprofits, but everybody has their own agenda. And like I said, I had started doing this work even before I left prison. I was in Lompoc doing a START program, and then I volunteered to go to a residential drug program for 18 months while I was in prison. A lot of prisoners go to the residential drug program to get time off, but I had weapons mixed with my case, so I couldn't get the time off. But I still did the program because I knew what I wanted to do when I get out. So I went there and I learned about, even though I grew up in the hood, you think if you grow up around dope fiends, even my mother fell victim for a while, and was a victim of the crack era and whatnot. And but she's doing amazing now. And but I had went down there to learn about mannerisms, learn how to run programs, how to schedule cohorts and stuff of that nature, because I knew what I wanted to get out. But while I was there as well, I had got a job. And a lot of people, this is one of the first times I said this, people don't know that. So if you go to jail, prison, anywhere, you have to have a job. And my job was, I used to, when I was in Seagoville, Texas, moved from Lompoc, I used to watch the kids in the visitor room while their parents visited with whoever their visitor was. So just imagine, I'm like this big old buff dude. I was real swole back then in prison. And I used to be like babysitting all these kids in the visitor room, but I'm a big teddy bear though. I love children, playing these games, watching all these movies. I watched Cars like 1,000 times. You know what I mean? I love Cars. And, so that kind of like kicked up that bug with the youth. And I've always always had a youthful spirit, because I was in and out of juvenile hall my whole teenage life. So I never really had a teenage experience. I was in the streets, man, selling drugs and packing guns and getting shot and shooting and fighting. And like, that's not a normal kid experience. I wasn't going to amusement parks and prom, never been to the proms or none of that kind of stuff, so I still got a youthful spirit. So, young people really resonate with me. So like when I got out, I was blessed, to be able to volunteer at the Presida Center, because, I'm fresh out of prison, 10 years, big old swole dude. I didn't leave such a good taste in San Francisco's mouth when I left. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I wasn't the same person, and I had did some work while I was in prison, but people still looking like, what are you about now? What you gonna do? Oh, you want to work with kids? Hell no, get your ass out. Like, you know what I mean? Like the last time I seen you, he was shooting at some dude. You know what I mean? So I try to get hired in some places, couldn't get hired. But this is a tidbit for people like if you really want to get on somewhere, man, volunteer. Uh, Valentina and Joe and Gloria over at the Presida Center in San Francisco. You guys don't know about it. But I told them what I wanted to do, and I told them, I said, just let me volunteer. So I volunteered for a month straight. They saw how well the kids resonated with me. I stepped in and supported Joe, who was running the after school program. And then, after a month, then they just hired me. And I was working there as an after school program with the youth, just learning the nonprofit game. And I seen a lot of stuff. Then I got promoted to a case manager, a home detention case manager and stuff of that nature. And then they went through some transitions. And then, I ended up going to another major nonprofit called United Players, working with the great Rudy Corpus, who is like a monster powerhouse in this violence prevention nonprofit youth development game. And I was over there under his tutelage for about 4 years, and then I had went to work with the mayor for a little while. She was a district supervisor at the time, running for mayor, seeing all that stuff. But I seen a lot of different things, and I volunteered a lot of different places to support. Even now, on the board for the City Eats, which we feed the homeless every first Saturday of the month, and we do another event in the middle of the month. And I've been doing that for over 8 years. But I see the struggle in some nonprofits and stuff of that nature. I was gonna talk about why I started Hard Purpose, but that's how Us for Us developed. I wasn't with United Players anymore. They're doing great work, but they serve a certain demographic, and I seen that some more help was needed. There's never enough of that. Like you can never have too many nonprofit organizations giving back to the community. And I wanted to do my part as a leader of one. We do a lot of things, but one of the main components, things that we do, is support other nonprofits, because I see a lot of nonprofits don't be having the support, or they don't have the people cultivating skills that I'm blessed with. You know what I mean? Rudy does. Rudy has an army, but it's a lot of people who are doing good. Like they want to do good stuff, but they don't know how to get the people, or stuff of that nature. Like the City Eats, my guy Kaim, who started it, he's from Los Angeles. He's not even from the Bay, but they moved up here. He moved away because he wanted to start his family, get away from stuff, but he wanted to give back. But he didn't know that many people in the Bay, and I do. And he was going through some stuff, so we teamed up, and then we just blew up the City Eats like that. So that's how Us for Us was formulated. I just got with the youth and what we gonna do, how you want to do it, because it's really really youth led. Like, you can talk to my young people, I take direction from them. I just have the connections. I'm older. A lot of older people don't respect young people. They think they the problem and all this and all of that, and don't think they have good ideas, but they actually do have great ideas. They just have to be fine-tuned and led with some direction. So 90% of the stuff you see is from the youth. I just put it in action. We did a Stop the Violence Peace rally yesterday, and we had just did one maybe like a month ago, but the kids were like, let's do another one. One of my main youth, Samantha, just turned 17 on Tuesday. What you want to do? Let's do a peace rally. I want to give back. I want to, that's the type of stuff we cultivated. So we just was out there. I'm blessed to be teamed up with Mobilized Love, which is a mobile food truck that gives to the people. I got funded from the CARE organization, another organization who came across me because I had got the People's Champ Award. That's why they call me Uncle Damien, the People's Champ. I got that from Breakout. Breakout Foundation is a foundation that champions change makers, people like myself all over the world. So they had I don't call myself the People's Champ. They had a contest and everybody voted for me from here to Chicago. So it was a blessing, in that. And Us for Us was kind of born, and we just been pushing and moving, man. Fiscally sponsored from Paris and Renaissance Success. Got some great partnerships. You know what I mean? Not no funding, but get some grants to support some other things. We'll just flow straight through, but we're pushing, man, all off the muscle. That's kind of like how Us for Us got started.
And how long has it been in existence?
Us for Us?
Yeah.
It's I mean,
just
I can
just
say
a quick number.
I could say from when I got home, but let's say officially 2 years.
Okay.
But
So
we really got when the pandemic kicked up. You know, uh, I'm a single dude. Like I said, my daughter is grown. I really didn't have no restrictions around COVID, and I had a bunch of people who had those same kind of things. I had some young, strong people who weren't afraid. A lot of people had to go inside. And we really stepped up, and that's when we really started to shine because people saw like because there was less people doing stuff, and we were been doing this stuff, but now you can see more because it's like the smoke is cleared a little bit. You can see like, oh, these are people that's really doing some stuff, and we were pushing hard through the pandemic. Feeding seniors, feeding the homeless, feeding communities. Doing community cleanups. Still stop the violence because the pandemic started, the violence didn't stop. It might have got worse. So we stepped up. Face masks, hand sanitizer, teamed up with other great people who weren't afraid to come outside and do the thing. So we could say officially 2 years.
I think with the video I saw of you, Uncle Damien, it was actually a bunch of young people who were with you doing all of those things. So I think it's amazing how
Because I got that
like
young spirit, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I got some
and
seniors though. Shout out to my seniors and my grown people. I got a beautiful army.
and and what I've been told is, a lot of people go into the cannabis space to make for themselves first, and then they give back to the community. I think what's really beautiful about your brand, and we'll get into it right now, is you decided to create this brand in order to help all of the programs that you're already doing for the community.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about